Welcome to Part 2 of Evacuation Vehicle and Trailers. This section includes specific information on towing and loading of trailers. Please be sure to watch Part 1 prior to viewing this so that you'll understand the nomenclature and terms that we'll be using during this presentation. Our number one goal is for everybody to be safe. After viewing this presentation, if you have any comments or questions, please contact us at info@nvadg.org. There are several California vehicle codes that will be shared during this presentation. The codes are all available on the internet. I encourage you to do further research if you have any questions. The first one at the top of the screen is a very generic term that just says tow equipment must be adequate. The second one is tow vehicle must be over 4,000 pounds unladen if towing a trailer over 6,000 pounds. We want to make sure that we don't have a Toyota Prius pulling a large trailer. Tow receivers come in various shapes and sizes. The tow receiver must be rated for the appropriate load. There are several classes of receivers. The most common is the 2-inch by 2-inch receiver. Oddly enough, different manufacturers will rate their hitch classes differently. For example, if you take a look at these two examples, the top graphic states that a Class 3 is rated for up to 5,000 pounds. However, the table at the bottom states that a Class 3 hitch is rated up to 6,000 pounds. When examining your receiver, be sure to read the fine print. The weight distributing system consists of additional bars and chains that must be attached to the trailer and tow vehicle. As you recall from Part 1 of this presentation, weight distributing systems have a higher maximum weight rating than the weight carrying system. Refer to your owner's manual for specific information. There are various types of weight distribution hitches out there. If you are towing a heavy trailer, we highly recommend that you install one. While carrying live horses, we don't recommend using extensions or extreme hitch drops. Although this is a beautiful truck, it is probably not the best combination to tow a heavy horse trailer. Some boat owners add extensions to their trailers so that they don't have to get their tow vehicle in the water while launching. Obviously, manufactured or homemade extensions are not acceptable while towing horse trailers. Make sure that you have the proper size ball. Although older, smaller trailers might use a 2-inch ball, most modern horse trailers nowadays use a 2 5/16" ball. The ball must be the correct size and rated for the proper load. Remember, this capacity is the weight of the total trailer, not just the tongue weight. If you look at the capacity of the trailer ball all the way on the left, it is only rated at 2,000 pounds. Whereas the one all the way to the right is rated to 14,000 pounds. Make sure that you have the appropriate size rated ball. All certified tow balls will be stamped with a weight rating. If you have a tow ball that does not have a stamp or is worn so much that you cannot read the certification, it is time to replace it with a new one. Be wary when using adjustable ball kits. Most adjustable kits do not have the weight capacity required for a heavy horse trailer. The vehicle code refers to the part that goes into your receiver as a drawbar. Drawbars or ball hitches come in hollow and solid configurations. We recommend solid as they are much stronger. California Vehicle Code states that when a drawbar is used as a towing connection, the safety chain, cable, or equivalent device shall be connected to the towed and towing vehicle and to the drawbar so as to prevent the drawbar from dropping to the ground if the drawbar fails. We accomplish this by crossing the chains to cradle the drawbar. It is an acceptable means of compliance. This is done so that if the trailer becomes loose, the tongue will, in theory, ride on the chains and not hit the ground. All safety connections and attachments also shall have a positive means of ensuring that the safety connection or attachment does not become dislodged while in transit. The chains on the right are illegal. There are various styles of trailer tongues out there. Be sure to have a clip or a pin and a spare. Most of our modern horse trailers will have trailer brakes. Trailers manufactured after 1966 with over 3,000 pounds must have brakes on at least 2 wheels. Most of our modern horse trailers will all have trailer brakes. Most modern horse trailers will have electric trailer brakes. This requires that the tow vehicle has a controller installed. It is important that you adjust the controller for the conditions. An empty trailer will require a different adjustment than a fully loaded trailer. An emergency breakaway system is required for any trailer having a gross vehicle weight of 1,500 pounds or manufactured after December 31st, 1955. Hopefully, nobody is using a 1955 trailer, so we all will be required to have an emergency breakaway system on our trailers. Be sure to check your battery on a regular basis. It goes without saying that we need to visibly and physically inspect our vehicles for structural integrity. This trailer obviously does not meet our basic safety standards. There are all different types of horse trailers. We are not going to go into specifics on the pros and cons. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. Is bigger better? Although these large trailers are not practical behind the fire lines, they are extremely useful if we are using a Lili-pad system. In a Lili-pad system, trained rescuers with the proper PPEs and equipment work behind the fire lines to evacuate animals to a safe location. From there, non-fire trained personnel can move the animals to a larger, more permanent shelter. The North Valley Animal Disaster Group owns a 22-foot flatbed tilt trailer that is very useful for moving large quantities of equipment, especially hay or small animal kennels. The gross vehicle weight rating is stated at 14,000 pounds from the manufacturer. However, when we registered it with DMV, we legally had it downrated to 9,999 pounds. We did this so that you do not have to have a commercial driver's license to tow it. So, what happens if you have a trailer that is registered with DMV for 10,000 pounds, but then load it with over 10,000 pounds? The fees and taxes on a trailer with a gross vehicle weight of over 10,000 pounds is more expensive. DMV and California Highway Patrol take this violation very seriously. Although it might be safe, it is illegal, even if you have a commercial driver's license. The bottom line is you don't want to overload your trailers. It is critical to distribute your load properly. This is particularly important when loading the North Valley Animal Disaster Group flatbed trailer. It is very easy to load equipment behind the rear axles, causing a light tongue weight. We can make sure that this doesn't happen by measuring your hitch height before and after loading. You want to make sure that the hitch does not rise. Ideally, you would like to see at least a 1-inch drop after loading. Federal regulations require the aggregate working load limit of any securement system used to secure an article or group of articles must be at least half the times the weight of the article or group of articles. They also must be secured every 10 feet, and there must be a minimum of 2 tie-downs. It doesn't matter if you are hauling a tractor or a bunch of kennels, the principle is the same. If the load weighs 1,000 pounds and you are only using the minimum of the 2 required straps, they both must be rated at 250 pounds each. If you are using 10 straps, they must each be rated at 50 pounds. This is an important code right here. This is something that is commonly done incorrectly. We want to make sure that we do it properly. So, a vehicle transported on a trailer shall be secured by at least 4 tie-down chains, straps, or an equivalent device independent of the winch or loading cable. This includes 4 binders if using chain. This is commonly done incorrectly. Remember, each chain or strap must have its own separate tensioning system. Let's look at some different ways people secure loads. So, on both of these methods, there are 4 independent tie-downs and each have their own separate tensioning system. I've had a lot of questions on which method is better, the traditional method on the left or the cross-tie method on the right. Well, in order to answer those questions, I spoke to 3 local experts in the field. I spoke to a race car mechanic who loads and unloads very expensive, fragile cars. In order to get the science behind each method, I spoke with a college professor who teaches engineering, physics, and higher math. And finally, to ensure that we are being compliant with the California Vehicle Code, I spoke to Officer Van Tassel with the Commercial Division of California Highway Patrol. So, what do the experts prefer, the traditional method of securing loads or the cross-tie method? Well, the race car mechanic prefers traditional. The college professor says that traditional will provide greater stability longitudinally, but cross-tie will provide greater stability laterally. Personally, he prefers the traditional method. California Highway Patrol said that both are legal. His personal preference, though, is the traditional method. So, what is the consensus? The bottom line is the best practice is the traditional method, but if the trailer or vehicle combination layout requires to use the cross-tie method, it is both safe and legal. Let's go on to our second question. Should you secure the straps to the wheel or frame? So, I asked our 3 same experts what they thought. The race car mechanic prefers frame mount. The college professor says if using a frame mount, be sure to compress the shocks. He has no personal preference. California Highway Patrol said both are legal, but again, personal preference is to secure to the frame. So, what's the bottom line? Either method is legal and acceptable, although attaching to the wheels is satisfactory. Most of our experts preferred attaching to the frame. So, one final question. Which is better, chains or webbing? So, I talked to our 3 experts. The race car mechanic said everybody's using straps nowadays. The college professor says webbing has a shock absorbing qualities, chain usually has a higher strength. CHP officer said both are legal. Personal preference is webbing for light loads and chains for heavy loads. When I questioned him more about that, he said that for heavy off-road equipment that does not have a suspension system, or you're not worried about scratching, that most people prefer chains. Bottom line is either method is legal and acceptable. Most of our experts preferred ratcheting webbing due to the ease of use. North Valley Animal Disaster Group tilt belt trailer has a full complement of properly rated chains and ratcheting webbing in the storage box on the tongue. So, what else do you need to be safe? Well, driving skills and loading skills. These will be covered in additional trainings. Be safe out there, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact us at info@nvadg.org.